Hello everyone, welcome back to Chess Comic. Today's game features a Neo-Catalan as black, but the real lesson isn't just the opening, it's about mindset. The opening went fine. I made a positional mistake in the middle game, and I was losing for the entire game. But here's the key, giving up was never an option for me. I kept fighting, stayed patient, and eventually I got into an equal position, and my opponent lost his cool. I was able to break him down and turn the game into a win. So, the powerful lesson: you don't always need a perfect game. You need resilience. So, if you guys are ready, let's go over the game. So, I was playing black. He played knight f3, knight f6, c4, then I played e6. I normally play King's Indian as well, but I got tired of playing it, so I decided to play the Queen's Gambit, in which now this is transposed to a Neo-Catalan. The normal Catalan is when white plays d4. Here a castle, then he played b3. c5, so we're trying to fight for the center, right? Both of us. If you notice, black has a good space. And here, one of, or perhaps the best move for black is to play b6 and then develop the bishop to b7 or a6 to attack this diagonal. But I chose to develop my bishop to f5 to gain control of this second long diagonal. Excuse me. So I play knight c3, rook c8. Here I could still have played b6 to to solidify my c5 pawn, right? a3, rook e8, d takes, bishop takes, e4. Okay, here we go. He took my bishop, I took back. Taking with the queen is not really going to be good for me, because if I do take with the queen, he will just simply capture f6, and now my structure is going to be bad. So I chose to make the queen side bad rather than the king side, because I don't want my king to be mated. He played knight to d4. I took the bishop, took back, and then I played queen to e7. Here, the engine was trying to say, it's much better for me to capture the knight, and if he takes with the queen, which is a mistake, then I can just simply take, and we'll win the pawn on e2. If it takes with a bishop, then I should still be fine here, because I can just simply play rook takes c1, queen takes c1, then still bishop takes g2, king takes g2, and rook takes e2. I'll be up by a pawn, right? So now, unfortunately, I didn't play the correct move. I didn't capture it and chose to play queen to e7. Bishop takes g2, king takes g2, and then queen to e7. Now I played e3, check. Here we go. I thought moving the knight to e5 was fine, in which I missed it. The correct move for me is to just simply capture. And then if he captures with his knight, I can play knight e4, something like that. But I played knight e5, which is a mistake. And this is the start of my misery. He took my queen, I took back, took my rook, took back, and he played knight f5. What is the main threat of knight f5? A fork and a discovered attack. So I was obliged to play rook to e8 to defend the fork, right? And also defend my knight, in which he just played knight d6, rook e6, took my knight, and then he moved back to c4. Here you may think, coach, why can't he capture your pawn on b7? Because if he does capture my pawn, I'll just simply play rook to d5. And this will be tougher for him because his knight has no room, right? Can't go back. Although it won't get trapped because he has a rook where he can play rook c1, check, and then the knight can run away. But instead of focusing on how to save the knight, he could have just focused on something elsewhere and how to push his pawns, right? So he was smart, actually. He didn't capture the pawn and move back. Rook e6, rook d1, rook c6. So now, this is going to be a little bit of shuffling. So I'm going to move a little bit faster, okay? That. So, because what I'm trying to do is just to hold on, not give up, play a solid move to give my king a escape square. Because my king is much better on g7 rather than on h7 because it's further away from my pawns, right? So, fast forward, of course, he's up by a pawn now. So I try to control the second rank, threatening to play knight g4, in which it's like what I said, my opponent is good, and he's Paul Murphy. If you know who Paul Murphy is, kidding. But of course, he just used the Paul Murphy name. He stopped me from going to g4, g5, take 6. Now, before I took, right, this is what I was thinking. If you are trying to play for a win as much as possible, you want to keep like this. Okay, you want to keep more pieces on the board. So rook and pawn is uh a much easier way to draw if you want to draw. Although I'm not saying the position is drawish now, while it's still winning. So that's why I chose to trade off the knights because I thought, okay, rook and pawn, I got a much higher chance of drawing the game, and then I'm maintaining the pin. So my opponent lost his cool here somewhere in the game. So g4 was played. I was just losing here. Takes, king g3, and then he let me play the move h5. I'm like, oh, now I got a more chance to draw because after I play h4, his king is gonna be tied up to defend the second rank, right? So he gave me a check. He went back. I went back. He played rook b4. Was like, why is this guy not giving up? Come on, check. If he goes to g4, I'll take f2, which means or which he chooses to defend his f2 pawn. I went back, gave a check, played a5. So I know from this point that this pawn is going nowhere. If he pushes, I'll take with a rook, right? So my rook is kind of tied up to defend on the a file because imagine if my rook is not on the a file, after he pushes, I take with the b pawn, then the b pawn, his b pawn is gonna go to college or home run. So I played rook a4, king f1, so I was still losing here. And then shuffling. Maybe he thought, why is this guy still not giving up? So he gave up the A pawn in exchange of the B pawn. Now he got a passer. But in this position, I knew that this is going to be a draw because all I have to do is make sure my king is on g7. G7 or h7 back and forth, so there'll be no skewer. What do you mean, coach? Let me explain. For example, my king is on f7. This will be an automatic lose for black because of the move rook to h8. Bloop, threatening to promote, in which if I capture, there will be a skewer. Now let's go back. Since I know the theory, he won't be able to go to h8 because I'll just simply capture it, right? So now he played f3, which I thought, oh, this is going to be a draw. Check. And then I took. So this should be a draw. Because all he has to do is move his rook to c8, d8, or e8. Most likely either from these squares, right? And then I'll capture the b pawn, and then he'll play king f2 and then capture my f3 pawn. That's it. That's a draw. But he became too ambitious, or probably not ambitious. He lost his cool. That's all I can say. And look at the time. I'm even down on time, right? But the resilience was there. He played d4, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna win. Bloop, g4. Look, in 2 seconds I moved g4 because I saw it. And then it took. If it doesn't capture, I'll play g3. And then I have a checkmate threat on b1. So it took, I played h3. And my threat now is to play h2, h1. He played rook c8. He's planning to promote, right? But I just ignored it. I played h2. Ta-da! Because I'm going to mate him. And now, this is just over. He gave a check. I played king g6. He gave another check. I played king g5. And then he resigned. Why did he resign? The only uh, legitimate check that he can give is rook c5. After he does that, I'll just capture. And there's no more legitimate check aside from giving up his rook. And I am going to promote to a queen to checkmate. All right. I hope you guys learned from this video. So the point is, never give up, no matter what. I mean, if you're in a losing position, just keep on playing. I mean, except if you're down by a lot of material, maybe you can resign. But this one, I was down by a pawn. I was not giving up, and for some reason, I was able to broke down my opponents. Okay, so I'm gonna see you guys on my live stream, and until next time, bye bye for now.